Dr. Robert Bullard did not follow a traditional path to becoming a renowned figure in the scientific community. He was born in December of 1946 in Alabama in a small all-black community. As he grew up, he saw firsthand the discrimination and injustices that black people have faced for centuries in this country. But Dr. Bullard did not always claim to be a scientist. He received a bachelor's and master's degree before serving in the Marines and eventually going back to school for his PhD in sociology, with his research focused on lower-income areas of the United States. His introduction to environmental justice came when his wife led a lawsuit concerning the discrimination related to landfill locations in Houston. It had turned out that the vast majority of landfills and highly polluting factories and similar infrastructure in the area were located in black communities. This clear injustice was what sparked Dr. Bullard's passion for and involvement in environmental justice. While he may not be a traditional scientist working in a lab, Dr. Bullard and his research have made a huge impact in the scientific world, and he is often referred to as the father of environmental justice. Environmental justice is a controversial, relatively new topic at the intersection of science and society. The main idea of environmental justice is that different groups of people are affected differently by pollution and other harmful effects that we humans are having on the environment, and this injustice must change. When we think of racial discrimination, we think of social interactions in which white people treat people of other races unfairly or receive benefits that other races do not, simply because of skin color. However, there can be discrimination in science as well. When it comes to climate change and pollution, people of color fare much worse than white people. As Dr. Bullard has pointed out, companies almost always build landfills and highly polluting infrastructure in lower-income areas. Due to various factors of systemic racism in our country, communities that are made of a majority of people of color tend to fall on the lower-income end. Because of this, these communities are affected extremely negatively by this highly polluting infrastructure being built within their communities. This can lead to major health issues as these people are exposed to a much higher concentration of pollution than higher income communities, which are primarily white. In addition, Dr. Bullard's research has shown that low-income individuals and families have a much harder time relocating due to pollution, which augments this discrimination. The companies that build the landfills and other infrastructure know that if they build in predominantly white, high-income areas, the residents will never allow that or will all move away. So Dr. Bullard's work has shown that not only do these companies destroy our environment at an unacceptable rate, they do so while taking advantage of lower-income communities and causing them to battle extra health problems and a lower quality of living. Though Dr. Bullard is not a traditional scientist and therefore has not made a huge contribution to our understanding of science through a single discovery, his work in environmental justice has greatly improved our understanding of horrific events such as Hurricane Katrina. The map on the left shows the density of black communities throughout New Orleans at the time of the hurricane, and the map on the right shows the level of flooding in different areas that resulted from it. Dr. Bullard found that the similarities between these maps were not coincidence. It had been due to a long period of systemic racism that primarily black communities were centered around areas that were much more susceptible to flooding. Dr. Bullard also pointed out that the government response in these areas was much less rigorous than in richer areas. The people most affected by a horrible scientific disaster were the ones who received the least help in evacuating as well as rebuilding. Through his work in environmental justice, Dr. Bullard has brought to light horrible injustices that had been hiding from the general public for years. As a black man himself, he had to face many hardships and injustices in his path to becoming a renowned public figure. Through his work, he proved that these injustices are present not only in society but in science as well. We must remember that while climate change and environmental destruction is a huge problem for everyone, it is affecting communities of color much more severely, and it is imperative that we work to combat this unfairness.